Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of the Dubcast. My name is Poletti. Joining me is Burke, and we've got an action-packed week of A-League women's football to break down. Probably best highlighted by Melbourne City, Burke.
Yeah, they've had a couple of interesting results for themselves this last week. Yeah.
So Melbourne City going down on Friday night to the Newcastle Jets, 3-1, and then a very tough fought midweek 1-1 draw against the Brisbane Roar. Burke, you were at the game on Friday night, and this was probably about as uncharacteristic a performance as you can get from Melbourne City.
Yeah, they looked very, very unlike themselves. They're about as sharp as a butter knife, really. Um, yeah, it was just, well, I don't know if it's the no, they were definitely off, but the Jets were very much here to win, and they did. They had the perfect game plan executed. There's whoever is doing their fitness, their strength and conditioning, hats off to you because they were able to sustain that high press the whole game. And that was crazy work. Lots of teams try to do that against Melbourne City because that is sort of the best way to deal with them because they always want to hold the ball in the back line. So if you can press them high enough, you can eventually encourage a mistake, which, yeah, eventually teams kind of run out of energy, but the Jets did not. They just kept going and they were rewarded for that effort.
Yeah, they absolutely were. Just on that, we also saw it in that A-League Men a couple of weeks ago when Newcastle travelled down to Melbourne. This idea of just keep going with the press. You're going to force a mistake, but if you were to put the two goals side by side from Newcastle's A-League men's side, Newcastle's A-League women's side, that both came off the high press turnover, they were pretty much identical in the way that the ball was forced. It was very much Melbourne City, they're playing out from the back, attempted pass sideways between the two centre backs, and the ball was just pounced on both occasions. Obviously, as you said, it's not the easiest thing to do over a 90-minute performance on a regular basis, but we've seen, and this isn't just limited to Australia, and I understand we're going to go big picture a little bit here, but we sort of see all around the world this idea of, trying to break down the City Football Group. Have the Newcastle Jets actually figured it out?
I think they might have, but I think it's a sort of a club you're only going to get into if you are absolutely the fittest.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. That is probably fair. It's going to be it's obviously very, very difficult, and we saw that with the fact that City went invincible last season. The fact that they've only lost twice this season, once to the Newcastle Jets, who were just on it from minute one. They lost to Canberra, and neither of the goals that they conceded to Canberra were sort of they weren't these high pressing turnover force goals. They were very much hit in transition, and it was very similar to the way that Brisbane Roar were able to beat Melbourne City tonight. We're recording on Tuesday night after that game, where it was basically an end-to-end goal forced off a turnover deep in the defensive end and just a very quick counter-attack going back the other way, finished off by Ashlyn Miller.
Yeah, that seems to be the only two ways that you can really get something out of Melbourne City is to keep pressing them until they make an error or catch them on transition. But if you're not doing those two things, you're probably not gonna find the back of the net against them.
Do you think it's a cause for concern for Melbourne City, the fact that they have two very clear weaknesses in what is usually otherwise a very flawless system, that and you can attest to this, having talked to Matriciani after the game on Friday. I think it was actually you who asked if there was any desire to change away from the City Football Group system, the playing out from the back, and and whatnot. He just basically said, no. There's no plans to do that. But I mean, it seems clear that there's two very distinct weaknesses that are almost impossible to close while trying to play the CFG football way.
Yeah, yeah, there definitely is, but it doesn't really matter because they're going to play this way. They play this way globally, so they're not gonna stop here. So yeah, as much of a concern as it may be, it doesn't matter because they're not going to change. They're very set in their ways, Melbourne City, and every city side. So yeah, I think it's only if it becomes like absolutely desperate and they start losing multiple games in a row, then they might have to have some conversations somewhere about doing something. But at this point in time, there's no way they're gonna do anything about that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. While we're talking about this, Melbourne City did play Brisbane Roar tonight. Brisbane Roar coming off the back of a 1-1 draw against the Western Sydney Wanderers. It was a 1-1 draw here against City. The Brisbane Roar, they left it insanely late against the Wanderers to win. Bente Jansen scoring goal in basically the last minute of the game, which was cancelled out, and Ella Buchanan goal in the 83rd minute. It was very, very close. The Wanderers had almost beaten Brisbane Roar twice in the same season, which would have been only their second win of the season as well. What is it about Brisbane? Like, what is it about the Western Sydney Wanderers that Brisbane Roar are just struggling with?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of seems like they're a bit of a bogey team for them. Like there's nothing kind of like how Canberra always breaks cities like unbeaten streaks. There's just something there that you can't really get around. I do think Brisbane were probably pretty lucky to get that equaliser as well. And it was, yeah, pretty unfortunate for Western Sydney the way that game ended on a number of fronts, actually.
It's now, two consecutive late equalisers, including the City game for Brisbane Roar. They've got Canberra coming up on Friday night. Very compacted schedule, 3 games in 7 days for the Roar. Is there perhaps a slight cause for concern here, given the injuries that they're dealing with as well? Or is this just a case of, you're going to go through these patches in a season?
I think it's going to have to, well, I think it has to be the second one because you don't want to be saying that there's concern, not when there's still so many points available for them. Yeah, the game against Canberra will be really interesting.
I mean, that being said, last season we were kind of saying that, yeah, there's cause for concern here around the same point because they started to drop off around this point last year because the players were dropping like flies.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, it's hard to say because they do have a different squad, like a little bit different this season.
Hopefully, for Alex Smith's sake, it's not a repeat of last season, because otherwise Brisbane Roar might just be cursed. We'll go to the team now that only played one game last week. It was Sydney FC. They had the bye, but they had a midweek fixture against the Jets that took place after we recorded, but before we released the episode, so we didn't get a chance to talk about it. Sydney FC breaking their goal-scoring drought, but still finding themselves on the losing end of the clash. Amelia Cassar scoring in the 18th minute before Melina Ayres equalised, and then Charlotte Lancaster getting the winning goal late in the game on her return. I should say in her first season back in the A-League Women competition after grinding away in the NPL Women's New South Wales competition, which has been ripping out for the last couple of years. I mean, for Sydney, things are just kind of going from bad to worse at the moment, aren't they? Even though they got the goal here, it's still sort of on a downward trajectory.
Yeah, yeah. I, it's over for Sydney. I fear this season. Like I don't see them coming back from the point that they're at. And even if they do come back, they don't seem to have whatever's been driving them the last few years. The last few years, most of the last years of this league, that would really put them through finals. So, which, yeah, if you look at this squad, it really doesn't make any sense either. Obviously, there have been injuries, and then they are consistently playing a 15-year-old, but like they have some really good players in their squad. They shouldn't be like this, but they are. There's something going on in Sydney. Something going on in Sydney.
Yeah, they shouldn't, and yet they are, and they have for the last two seasons. Well, season and a half, technically, but it'd be two seasons by the end of it. I just Ante Juric is out of contract at the end of the season. Maybe I'm making a very bold claim here, but I almost feel like making finals at this point would be the worst thing for Sydney FC, because I think that gives the board, like the board of the club and Ante, sort of like maybe some sort of false hope that things are going in the right direction when I don't know, maybe it's like for me, I think just a clean break is needed by all parties involved here.
Probably. I mean, Ante's been coaching Sydney for a very, very long time, and he's been very, very successful. But I don't know. I guess there's only sort of so long you can go. I remember ages ago watching a documentary on Arsene Wenger. Is that how you would say the surname? The really famous
Yeah, Arsene
Arsenal
Wenger, yeah.
Arsenal men's coach, and he spoke about how you really only have like 5 seasons with a team before it kind of falls apart. Like before it's you kind of reach the expiry date of the program, I guess. So I don't know if this is maybe
Yep.
just like the natural life cycle in this situation. It kind of feels like it.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been notable exceptions, to that particular rule throughout history. Arsene Wenger is one of them, and obviously, everyone knows this. Knows Fergie and Manchester United men's. But yeah, it's one of those situations where, yeah, like maybe it is just the natural conclusion, and unfortunately for Sydney, we're seeing it play out in real time. And perhaps more unfortunately is the fact that, these will go down as the two worst seasons in club history, which I think is maybe exasperating that fact just a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Just quietly, though, Charlotte Lancaster's had herself quite the week, hasn't she?
Oh, she really has. Two huge goals in huge games. Like that's got to feel good for her.
And Stephen Hoyle was quite complimentary as well of her after the City game, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, and so he should be. Like that's some real hard work that she's clearly showing the results of. Huge shout out though to Melina Ayres for the back heel that she provided for Lancaster's goal, I believe it was, against Melbourne City, because that was so good. That was so good. Yeah, I'd love to see more of that kind of stuff in the dub, please. Thank you.
You mean the ex-Melbourne Victory striker came up tops against Melbourne City and Sydney FC? What a shock.
What a shock.
Couldn't have seen that one coming.
Not me.
We'll make our way across to Adelaide now. Adelaide United 2, Melbourne Victory 1. This was the Pride Cup game. the first part of the double header in Adelaide. Fiona Wirtz scoring an absolute banger of a goal in the 38th minute before Kennedy White in the 48th minute leveled it up, and then a Paige Zoyce Olimpico giving Adelaide the lead and the match winner against her old side. First of all, I mean, any Olimpico is special, but it looked extra good for Paige Zoyce, like just the strike itself. Although I think it might have been outdone by one we're going to get to in a moment. But just just this game as a whole, right? This was sort of the Adelaide that we all expected coming into the season, and you know that we've seen little glimpses of it, but I think consistency's probably been the issue with them.
Yeah, that you took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. Where has this Adelaide been the whole time? Where have they been? I did love that they had pride kits, Adelaide. Victory did not, but I did see a lot of the players were wearing little rainbow ribbons in their hair, which I thought was very cute. Yeah, this is Adelaide's first win over Victory in like over 1,400 days. So there's also that. But yeah, I wish they'd been playing like this.
That is insane.
Yeah. I think it was Taryn Heder who was on the call, and I think the actual number was 1,421. A stupid number of days, but you know, the original rivalry holds up. Yeah, obviously there was some downsides to that game for Victory as well as the loss. They didn't look bad, Victory. They didn't look like they were out of the game. But yeah, this is definitely not one of Victory's best seasons. Like at this point on the table, they have more losses than wins. So they might need to do something about that.
And unfortunately for Melbourne Victory, it's only going to get tougher from here on out because Rihanna Policina left this game late with what we now know. I mean, we kind of knew it at the time. It was picked up on the effects microphones at the game, but you know, she did fracture her wrist in this game. Melbourne Victory announcing on Tuesday that she has undergone surgery for that wrist fracture. Jeff Hopkins saying, we're naturally disappointed to lose Minnie to injury, but we'll now focus our energies on supporting her recovery to ensure she returns to training as soon as possible. Hopefully this will be in a few weeks. The problem is hopefully this will be in a few weeks. We're just past the halfway point of the season. Melbourne Victory don't really have a few weeks because, you know, if she's not, I mean, I imagine she'll still be doing like cardio training and stuff like that, but nothing can really replicate match fitness. If she's out of that sort of training for a few weeks, we're looking at like round 19, maybe. Like how long is a few weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 6 weeks? It's just not good.
No, they better find a few weeks somewhere, Victory. I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but they need to. Yeah, I think as soon as you saw or heard on the broadcast that the green whistle had been brought out, it was over. Like that's curtains. That's it. Because yeah, obviously breaking a bone hurts an incredible amount. And they don't just hand out the green whistle like it's candy. So yeah,
no.
Everyone did kind of.
They hand out the pickle juice like it's candy.
Yeah, but I wouldn't ever want that. The green whistle I would happily take at any point. That'd be so fun. But there's a reason they don't hand it out. So you can keep the pickle juice though.
Yeah, I don't believe I've ever had pickle juice, and as someone who doesn't have the pickles on their burgers, I'll pass on the pickle juice. Give me something else. that's high in salt content to get rid of the cramps. I'll take that. Hell, just pour the salt directly down my throat with water. I'll take that over pickle juice. Thank you very much. We'll head now to Canberra, where the Wellington Phoenix left it quite late to get their victory, and it was substitutes Zoe Benson and Pia Vlock. Vlock having herself quite the season as well. I mean, she's, the teenage sensation has just come sort of absolutely out of nowhere. And as I've mentioned this before, but when we were, or when I spoke to Bev Priestman, pre-season, she mentioned, someone like a Pia Vlock is, an exciting prospect that, you just can't wait to work with. And I mean, you look at, her performances here in this game, but just all season as well, Burke, you can see why Bev was so excited to, be working with her.
Yeah, she's been really, really, really good to watch. I watched this game. It was really, really tight contest, I felt, between the two sides, especially, well, it felt more so in like the first half, and then Wellington, well, there was the red card, which did, I think, have a bit of an impact and kind of turned the tides in favour of Wellington, because they did get to overload by having an extra body on the pitch. But yeah, I did feel the first half was pretty even, and then red cards do derail. But yeah, Vlock, I've really enjoyed watching her this whole season. The goal that she scored, you knew it was coming because of what had happened before that, being that Canberra had a corner and it was like the dying minutes of the game, and they could have still rescued a one draw, so they sent up Sally James, and then there was a whole tangle in the box and she couldn't get back in time, so Vlock really just had an open net to shoot on. But props to her for staying cool under pressure and getting that goal as well, considering how young she is. So
yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the red card. It was 2 yellows for Tegan Bertolicio. No complaints about either, right?
no, the second one was especially silly, just like absolute brain fade moment. You're already on a yellow card, you can't be doing things like that, and you can't. But yeah,
I guess, did she maybe forget that she was on a yellow card? Like, because
so.
the first one happened like 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And it was a very similar, I don't want to call it challenge, because that would be implying it was a footballing challenge. Sort of,
a similar move.
because both of them were, trying to think, very silly. Like, they weren't like, body checks like you'd get in ice hockey. Because, usually you'd lead those with the shoulder. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. I can't really actually think of a way to describe it, but yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was just weird. Like, you don't usually see players do those sorts of things.
No, and for good reason, because then you get 2 yellow cards and then you get sent off. So
yeah, hopefully Tegan Bertolicio has learned her lesson there. Just last thing on this game, this was part of the Yellow Fever's tour of duty. So for those who are unaware, a tour of duty is when a team's active support group travel away from home. In this case, what the Yellow Fever have done is they picked a weekend where the men's team and the women's team were playing not quite in the same city, but were playing close enough. Sydney and Canberra have made a proper weekend of it, supporting both of their teams. I mean, they were getting in amongst it. They left Canberra happy. Bev Priestman got on the drums as well. There was footage of that circulating around socials. Like, this was just proper, I guess excitement, right?
yeah, it was really, really good stuff by by the Knicks fans, and they were rewarded for their effort as well. They did have to wait. I think they really had to wait, but that second goal would have felt so good for them. It would have really made like being in Canberra of all places worth it.
And perhaps probably best for the crowd that turned up to McKellar Park was that it was still 0-0 in the 80th minute, because otherwise I reckon there were a lot of Canberra fans that would have seen some very pasty white torsos.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to those people.
For those who are not aware, the Yellow Fever have a tradition of shirts off in the 80th minute if the Wellington Phoenix are leading.
Oh, yeah. No, so they were saved.
A game. Yes. Obviously, Wellington doesn't get a lot of sun. So, yeah, it would have been some very pasty white torsos there. We will head up to Gosford for the final game of the weekend's action that we need to talk about. Susan Fonksong-Cam opening the scoring for the Perth Glory in the 34th minute against the Mariners, before Peta Trimis in the 61st minute leveling it with an Olimpico. A 1-1 result playing out, and I said, this is definitely the better of the two Olimpicos, because it was an outswinging corner with the right foot that had no right whatsoever to go directly into the goal, Burke.
It had absolutely no business doing that. I don't understand how she did it. She momentarily defied, I think, multiple laws of physics to make that goal happen. And you know what? Good for her. Good for her. That goal was crazy. The Fonksong-Cam goal I thought was also really, really good. It was a first-time volley. Yeah, just looked excellent. My stocks in Susan Fonksong-Cam cannot get any higher at this point. But yeah, that finish from Trimis was stupid. I don't understand how she did it. I don't even know if she could explain how she did it. I mean, if she could, she'd be doing it every week, wouldn't she?
Yeah, I mean, look, she's rightly vaunted as one of the brightest young footballing prospects in the country. And presumably we'll get to see her in action at the under-20s Women's Asian Cup coming up in late March, early April. I think it might be closer to early April. I don't have the schedule in front of me right now, but if she's not picked, I just want to talk to you, Alex Aparkas, if she's not part of that squad. I'm 99.99% sure she's still eligible, as I quickly consult. Yes, no, she is. Yeah, she's still eligible. So if she's not picked, I just want to talk. No, I digress. I mean, it's stuff like this. She's had some banger of some goals already this season, but I know a lot of people, I don't want to say, like, they don't complain about Olympicos, but they don't tend to rank highly when it comes to, like, goal of the season contenders, but I feel like this one should be the exception.
Yes. Yes, it absolutely should be. Yeah. Yes.
And last thing I will say on Peta Trimis and her goal-scoring prowess, I would not be surprised if come the end of the season, all of the goal of the season contenders are literally from the boot of Peta Trimis.
I think that's not an unfair call to make at this point in time.
No, it is not. I mean, we had a lot of games to talk about. We're speeding through them, and we sped through them as we did. So it will be a shorter episode this week. The reason for that is Burke is currently battling a ton of internet issues. So we're trying to get this done before she inevitably drops out again.
Shout out to Telstra. Thank you so much for nothing. So glad you guys get paid for this. Ugh. Yeah.
And much like the ABC would in this sort of situation, other mobile phone networks are available. Um, we're going to talk about some rather unfortunate news across a number of different fronts. We'll start with news impacting the Central Coast Mariners. Obviously, we spoke last week, about their ongoing ownership issues, but they've also been hit again on the injury front. Their second ACL injury for the season. Isabella Coco DeCipio confirming on Instagram last week after we recorded Burke that she has done her ACL as well.
Yeah, just the worst. Just the worst. She's had such an awful string of injuries, and to add this one to it, it just sucks. And that's the most annoying thing about ACLs is that it's just such a random thing that can happen because she wasn't hyperextended. She just put her foot into the ground, and that was all it took. But yeah, wishing her the best for her recovery. Obviously, it's a pretty long trek back after this kind of injury.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things where, like when you told me, because you told me after we recorded our PFA special as well. You just said, "Have you seen the Coco DeCipio news?" And I'm just kind of like, don't tell me, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I just because I just and then you told me, and I'm just kind of like, oh, I felt so gutted when you told me because. This is someone I had on the pod that interviewed. You mentioned the injury history, but I mean it's just also been her journey to get to this point. She didn't get this is her first season in the A-League Women. She didn't get that she didn't get that opportunity until now. She had to leave to go to Serie B, just to get any some form of professional football contract. She was lured back to Australia by Bulls FC coach Marty Garces. Had an absolute breakout season, or in the NPL women's, was a key part of that side that did the double in the NPL New South Wales for Bulls FC. Got rewarded with an A-League Women contract, and her season's over. I think it was 12 games in. It's just, it sucks. It genuinely sucks. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
The other thing that I think is maybe the worst part of all of it was that she'd been having quite a good season. She'd been in some really good form, and she'd been making a real positive impact for Central Coast. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely renewing the faith that, Corey Babington put in her by giving her a contract to start with. And, yeah, it sucks. And more unfortunate injury news. I wish we didn't have to discuss this one. Chloe Berryhill. So, for those who watched Friday's game, Chloe Berryhill went down late in the game and posted to her Instagram on Sunday night, I want to say it was, or had changed her Instagram bio to retired. And that news was confirmed today on Tuesday by 10 Sport that Chloe Berryhill's football career is over as a season-ending injury for Berryhill, and no late Asian Cup berth for her. She's done.
Yeah, this is just awful because that's the reason that she came back to play here, was to give the Matildas one final shot. And so it's just absolutely tragic that this is the way that it's ended for her. She's had a really long, sort of tumultuous career with the national team, and I really was hoping for the best for her, and I'm sure she was too. I've always really enjoyed watching her play for the Matildas because she's such such a workhorse. There was like she pretty much made the miracle of Montpellier happen, if I'm remembering correctly, because she just dug her heels in that game. Um, but yeah, you just like first ball, she's there, second ball, she's there, third ball, she's there, like she was always after the ball, just absolutely never giving up. So this is, yeah, really tough to take. I wish her all the best for her, recovery and for her future. I hope she doesn't leave football completely. Obviously, I can understand if she wants to take time, like quite a bit of time away, but I hope she doesn't leave completely because I just know she has so much more to offer the game, even if it's not being one of the, you know, outfield players.
Yeah, I mean, her footballing knowledge, is immense, and you have to be to play at the international level, for as long as she did, um, which you feel would have been longer if there weren't injury issues to deal with. I mean, I feel like she's one of those. Like, I feel like she's one of those players that would just make an excellent coach. You quite often see players struggle, when it comes to moving to coaching. Like, but quite often it also works out.
Mm,
So there's sort of like it can be very hit and miss, and I feel like
yeah,
she'd be one of the hits if coaching is something she wanted to do.
yeah, definitely agree with that. She had been a great captain, I felt, for Western United when she was with them. So I would absolutely not be surprised if she was really easily able to sort of translate all of that into coaching. I hope she gives it a shot, or, just hope she gives something a shot. I would hate to see this be the last involvement she has in football in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, and like as much as it would suck if she wants to walk away from the game
Yeah,
completely, then that would also be totally understandable.
yeah,
Um, you know,
yeah,
not everyone wants to be a football lifer.
yeah.
But yeah, so thank you for the wonderful career, Chloe Berryhill. And wish you all the best in retirement. And the last thing I've got on my little run sheet here to talk about, Sydney FC have announced the departure of two players. Alyssa Rose departs at the end of her injury replacement contract. Sydney FC's press release indicating that she'll be signing with an NPL Women's New South Wales club, which doesn't strike me as a surprise at all. Those squad lists are slowly starting to be announced by Football New South Wales as well. So we've got NPL squads, which absolutely starts to excite me because it means NPL season is just around the corner. And they've also announced the departure of Lauriane Moise, the Haitian international. She's taking up an opportunity in Europe. The press release from the club didn't indicate any sort of a transfer fee, which doesn't necessarily strike me as a surprise, and it feels like just getting the wages off the book is as good as a transfer fee in this particular situation, given she made two matchday squad appearances, one appearance on the field itself for only 6 minutes. Not quite sure why things didn't work out for her, Burke. But she gets an opportunity in Europe, and hopefully all the best for her over there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are worse steps you could take in your career than heading off to Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed, it does leave Sydney FC a little bit on the shorter side. I'm not sure off the top of my head what the rules are around injury replacement contracts. Whether that could have possibly been extended, given it was Shea Holman who Ante said last week after the loss to the Jets. She might still be a few weeks away as well. So I'm not sure what the word what things were around there. But I mean, Alyssa Rose had also only played 5 minutes of game time this season, so maybe it was just a case of, well, the contract's up, we kind of haven't used you, so let you go play football. their Sydney FC's squad's just looking shorter and shorter.
Yeah, not great. Like you were saying, it's just kind of going from bad to worse over there.
Yeah, so for Sydney FC's, for the sake of Sydney FC fans, hopefully things turn around in the in the short term. But it's very much going to be a case of wait and see. There got a number of exciting games coming up this weekend. Brisbane Roar hosting Canberra United on Friday night, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 6 p.m. local time at Spencer Park. So a quick turnaround for the Brisbane Roar. And then 2 games on Saturday. Central Coast Mariners playing the Western Sydney Wanderers in Gosford. And then it's out west. The Mariners Wanderers game, 5 p.m. Kick-off Australian Eastern Daylight Time. 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time kick-off for Perth Glory in Melbourne City. 5 p.m. local time at the Sam Kerr Football Centre on Saturday. And it's at 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 4 p.m. local time, kick-off on Sunday for the Wellington Phoenix against Adelaide United at Poletti Park. Newcastle Jets with the bye, and then the closing game of the round, Melbourne Victory hosting Sydney FC Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, local time as well, at the home of the Matildas. Burke, which game there tickles your fancy out of those 5?
I think the Perth City game will be interesting, mostly because I do always like to see the battle of the McKenna sisters. I think that's fun. But I think it'll be interesting because Perth love playing at home, and City are now like 2 games without a win. So it'll be interesting to see what eventuates out of that one. Otherwise, Newcastle Jets, Adelaide United. Oh, that's actually a makeup game, isn't it? Yeah, my bad. That's a makeup game.
That is Wednesday night, which I completely forgot about when I was announcing the upcoming fixtures. So if you're listening to this on the day of recording, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, 6:30 p.m. Adelaide time. Newcastle Jets hosting Adelaide United at the number 2 Sports Ground in Newcastle. Midweek fixture. So that, for me, I would say Wellington Phoenix versus Adelaide United. Just because Adelaide, 3 games in 7 days, having gone from Adelaide to Newcastle, then to Wellington, certainly won't be an easy trip by any stretch of the imagination for Adelaide United. A very good chance to show, this consistency that we want to see from them.
Yeah. Hopefully. But yeah, that's a lot of travel to get in the legs.
It is indeed. So plenty of action to come across the A-League women, both on Wednesday night and across the weekend. Honestly, I can't see any sort of bad game here, to be honest, which I think speaks to the quality of the league this season. Every game is intriguing in its own way, so plenty of fun action to watch. But that will do for this episode of the Dubcast. Burke, we made it.
Thank God.
We'll be back next week to chat, to wrap up all the weekend's action in the A-League women competition, as well as look at any other storylines across the world of Australian women's football and international women's football as well, that tickle our fancy. But for now, my name is Poletti, was joined by Burke, as always, for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next week.